Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for taking our time to meet us today at on a Sunday at 11 a.m. So I will start a little bit by introducing Polygonal. Polygonal is a series of conversations between NID Gandhinagar's community where we invite alumni of the community to share their design journey and practice with us. And it was formed in a COVID world where we felt a lack of conversations within the community, and in a COVID pandemic world, we felt we were not able to have the conversations which we were missing, which were like Kopcha. And so some of us came together to form Polygonal to bring back the Kopcha like conversations where we felt we could learn, ask, and reflect on each other's journey. So today we have Surbhi with us, and Surbhi is an architect and toy and game designer. She has worked on projects which have been related to heritage, innovation, and cultural based design. And a lot of her work has been in relation to developing courses and electives related to playful design. And she has been conducting design and education workshops for teachers, trainers, and professionals and children at several organizations and schools in India. And currently, she works as a faculty in Industrial Design Department at NID Kurukshetra. And today she'll be sharing her journey as a designer, researcher, and educator with us. Thank you for coming on board, Surbhi. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Vasudha, for a very kind introduction. So I'm so happy to be on this platform. And when you called up, I actually got to know that such a platform has been an initiative by all of you, and I was so excited. And yes, yeah, I will sort of have a small presentation to talk about little bit about my journey, and then we'll, of course, I'll be more than happy to have a conversation as in how it flows. So yeah, so with that I'll just present my screen, and I hope everyone will be able to see. Okay, so basically I'll be talking about my toy and learning journey today. Um, as Vasudha already mentioned, that currently I am based in Kurukshetra, which is 4 hours away from New Delhi. And now it's also known for NID and design. Earlier, of course, it was only known for Mahabharata, but thankfully we changed that story a bit. I think every individual has a play journey, and from the time one is born, the play instinct kicks in to explore, to be curious, to learn, to experience fun. So what I remember is that the first toy memory I have is when I was around 3 or 4 years old, and my mother used to roll rotis like a lot of people, and with atta which was there, like with kneaded dough, she would make anything, like she would make a hathi, an elephant, and other forms. And with that I used to make something with her, so that was like an introduction for me to creativity, play, learning, working with hands, and basically experiencing material. And then we would sit together and make a bird or butterfly and many other things, and then of course it would go back to being a roti or anything else. So that was, I mean, that somehow has struck as a very strong memory, and I think each person has a very strong play memory connected to them, which stays on, and I don't know when it comes out and when you know that experience is special. So then when I grew up, I grew up in Ahmedabad and went to a school which was a very which was a good school, but typically, I mean, a CBSE school used to be called a good school at that time. This was, I was born in 1986, so approximately say 1990 I started going to school, and this was Prakash Higher Secondary School. So all my 14 years from KG to 12th I was there, and it was very focused on studies. I mean, this was a very simple, beautiful building they had, but extremely focused on studies. So I used to feel like, you know, when my friends used to study, I would study. But apart from that, I felt there are so many more things to do. So I would do some painting, art, knitting, singing, So this is one picture with my father and sister, and we used to have harmonium and tanpura at home, a lot of instruments. And all the time we would just go and explore, just listen to some sound and maybe sing or anything. And so then, I mean, this all used to be like combined with playing out every evening. So I used to think, like from an early age when I was growing up, I used to think, why are schools like this? Like, why are they only concentrating on studies? And why don't they have a playful process of learning? Why don't they have freedom for us, and so much of studies? So I would really enjoy being with my friends, and I would do all the activities along with them. Um, I mean, of course, after 12th, I joined architecture, and this was at IPSA, Rajkot. And it basically took me some time to realize that the questions that I had in my childhood, uh, as a as a child, I mean, were really valid questions. They were not just coming from anywhere, but they were like deeply somewhere in my mind, and they were coming out as it was leading to a responsible thought process. So when by the time I was in my final year in architecture, I took a final project on schools, and this was basically I studied the ideology of schools and its physical manifestation. So basically, to study the building uh, part, and then the ideology of the school, and understanding how they match, whether they match or not, and understanding how a built environment leads to a thought process, or a thought process leads to a built environment. And with that, I met many teachers, many students, and I learned how to interact with this very different group, because till then I was with buildings, with design, and this was more people oriented. So, though in architecture, of course, a lot of user centric studies are done, a lot of human behavior is a part of it, but still, this was a very new area, going to one institution and understanding all the stakeholders. So this sort of process of approximately, I think, 4 months made me very interested in this area of learning education. And yeah, so then, of course, when I was studying the school design, the buildings, I've also started identified spaces which had the idea of learning. So some blue parts, which were the idea of learning, which was the classroom, or interaction and communication, which was some like semi-open spaces. Idea of freedom or playfulness. So for me, that time, playfulness was freedom, because I could not see schools doing anything else. So these were very typical schools which were very popular, but had a lot of study oriented curriculum. And then, of course, the idea of safety, hygiene, or special considerations. So your staircases, your fire safety, etc. And this was a process which was interesting. And for my master's, then eventually I applied to NID and to toy and game design. So where some of the projects that I did were, like, one of the projects I'll share was in systems thinking. And that time I had worked with an NGO called Katha, which was in New Delhi, and they were working with both. They were working with making their own stories and taking out their own publication through storybooks, and they also had a school in Govindpuri. So they were actually also training their teachers through these storybooks. So when I worked with them for approximately 2 months, and then I basically designed a play kit, which acted as a mini hanging library. So what happens is that you have one sort of a packaging for keeping books and their own books, and the graphics were embroidered, because there were some people who had a skill, and this was also a way of having a skill development session with the organization. So then we started making these hanging sort of components, and then you can also interchange it. So suppose you want to put some book at the top and then other one at the bottom, you can do that. Also, then we started making some puppet forms, hand puppet forms, so you can interchange it, so a child doesn't get restricted to that one kind of a structure or one kind of a furniture, but in his room or her room or in a school, you can actually have a lot of this multiple sort of a play and interchangeable elements. So this led to a mini hanging library, which actually had a loop and button system. Very simple. So your skills of hand motor skills also got addressed. So this was one of the projects that I had done. And then, of course, one bit which some of you might also have was a component in digital games. So the exercise that I had taken was civics, because when I was a child, I used to feel that civics is such an important subject, and yet somewhere by the time we reach our own age to vote, a lot of concepts are not clear. So I thought for an age group of 12 or 13, I mean, when this idea of government and governance is introduced, then how do we make it more interesting, playful, and something where the information also stays with you, because this is a practical information which you will need in future, and yet it is such a confusing information that that it needs a structure. But if you just put something in, blocks, and say, okay, this is after this comes, this after this one comes, it becomes little bit boring. So then I made some series of games, which so the first one was Chasing Power, where there are two sort of racing cars, and one is a central government, another is a state government. So there are two players, and then of course you just go on the way, and then on the way, whatever you get, suppose you are in central government and there's the prime minister, this thing blinking, then you have to catch that. But if you catch this chief minister this thing, then of course you lose a point. So something where you are racing and you are taking all your components with you, on the way. Another one was a ruling roulette, where I made this casino type of a game where you just roll it, and then whatever you see on the screen, you see a president on the screen or a high court on the screen, and then you have to put it like whether it goes in judiciary or whether it goes in executive. So you have to just grab that and sort of make a connection. And third one was on global governance, where it helped children know different kinds of governments which prevailed in different countries. So there were some birds which were like roaming around, because they were like migratory birds. That was a concept. And then it was more like whether it's a democratic government, a parliamentary republic, or military junta. So everything was sort of there. And then of course you have to guide the bird to its country, where it is originating from, and or help it migrate to some other country. So this was a series where I also learned a little bit of coding and also animating it a bit. So that was quite an interesting experience. And then, of course, craft documentation, which was again exciting. And this was a community in New Delhi, which still makes sarangi and gadi. And they used to sell at Delhi Heart. And of course, due to pandemic now, they stopped. But again, now they have started selling in smaller numbers. And I was very fascinated that, one community, they could organize everything. So these small parts, they could actually get with, their own relatives or their own friends, and they kept this knowledge within the community and kept on passing it to their children. And earlier at that time when I saw them, it was like the children were of course studying, and they felt that they might not really like to continue this craft. But recently when I talked to them, I think this knowledge about toys is coming back. Now that the nation wide there's a journey of celebrating toys, I think a lot of children of the next generation are coming back to their parents and really want to be associated with the craft. And even though they are simultaneously studying or doing something else, but for them now this is no longer something which doesn't give them money, or which doesn't give them identity. In fact, it has been stronger identity now for them. So I think that is a very good fresh change from the time I did the craft documentation till now. And then I designed a kit where I said that, okay, this is how one makes it, and then how do you assemble it. So it became like a DIY kit sort of a thing. In between, then during NID study masters, I had the chance to be selected as an exchange student in the University of Hanover. So there were four of us, one from furniture, one from product, one from automotive, and Daniel was our mentor. I mean, from that university, he was guiding us into the city and the system of and German sort of way of living and everything. And we had a course in Germany, like just first course, A1 was the course, and this was the last day when we all gave a test and passed, thankfully. But of course, it was manageable enough for us to have some German to just sort of stay and at least order a coffee or just go to the metro and at least manage a little bit. And it was exciting because somewhere I thought that though culturally it is so different, yet when you meet people, people have the same warmth. So that is something which was really interesting. And wherever it didn't work, then we used to use some bits of English or sign language or whatever was possible. So that was again a good experience in going from Gujarat, which was absolutely a dry state, to Germany, which was, of course, a beer filled country. So a huge difference there also, apart from the design and the interaction with a lot of different designers and visit to various museums. Also, this was the first time that I lived in snow, and it was quite, I mean, one knew the winters in north of India, but one did not really experience that how one has to be in such a cold climate. So this was again a different kind of experience that I saw. And so some projects that we had there was that Vipak was a company which had come to the university. So project on food packaging design was given to us. So when I was there, I really liked the soup culture, the soup and the pretzels and many this thing. And a lot of times I saw that Germans eat a lot of cold breakfast, and often soup is there for lunch. And I think this warmth was what was important for me to capture. So I designed a packaging where there was soup, there was snacks, and also on the top there was a recipe, because some of these soups, like the pumpkin soup and all, was very interesting to see. So even people who did not know the language, they could just see some graphic and they could understand how it's made and how much time does one give to each process in each step. Then one thing I really liked there was that there were also few art courses. So it wasn't like because you're studying design, you just have to, I mean, go into conceptual or skill based study, but one could also sort of learn a skill just for the sake of it, and also learn a new art form and expression. And it was I mean, bronze casting was one thing which I really found interesting there, and I joined the course and we went through this process of lost wax casting. And then I took a leaf from there. It was autumn there, so a lot of leaves were there, and pine cones when we were visiting some forest, and some explorations I did for both of these. And that was, I mean, that was my interaction with this material, which I really enjoyed. I mean, really liked. I mean, and felt that this could also be taken further in some way. And then another one was where there was a book design and binding course. So I was every day I was actually I used to keep a note, and I used to just make my just note down all my experiences in a small diary. So then we felt that it's nice to capture some of these experiences into a book. So we had a screen printing sort of a session. So with screen printing and some of the scans, then I made a bound book, which sort of captured the experience of those 6 months that I was there, and learned new words also. Yeah. And this was one project on unstructured play. And the idea was that a play, of course, has to be without rules, but also to help my concept was to help children vent out their anger, and then of course go into a happier state and happily be in their day-to-day activities. So so I interacted with children and I saw what they like. And one of the things that was trending that time was Monsters Inc. film. So this monster was very cute and very, I mean, it just had one eye. So that was quite interesting to look at. So I designed a sort of an installation kind of a thing where the fabric was something where a Velcro could stick easily and you could also take it out. So what could happen was that this hanging installation, children could take the small colored balls and just hit it when they're angry. And basically, when all the anger is out, they just can go and hug it. And it was interesting when I took it to various children. I first thought that it will be aggressive or they'll pull, or, but they didn't do anything of that sort. In fact, they played with it and they really wanted to. They really wanted some connection with the hit me, hug me toy. So they would go and ultimately hug the monster, and so that proved to be quite interesting as with some play without rules. And I didn't tell them anything that this is how they just explored. They just saw, and then they said, okay, we they just started playing basically. So that was quite interesting to look at. And then there was an elective on textures and textiles. So I was very interested in soft materials more than hard materials always. And I really liked textiles or cloth, I mean, working with this material. So we went around capturing some textures which already exist around us in nature, and then started making them on cloth in various forms. And then also did some exploration in felt. So this was a laser cutting exploration, and then of course I started tying and making a pattern, and eventually it turned out to be a beautiful wall screen. So these were some material centric explorations which I did during my journey. And this was a form that I had made in thermocol, and the idea was to convert it into a play material. So this was what I did was I cut the form into two, and then I thought that it would be nice to make a usable product. I mean, it can be a play product, but still a usable product together with it. So what I did was that the lower portion that became a pillow, a very soft pillow, and the upper portion became like a bag where somebody could put things in. So a mother with children could take it and store things and provide a pillow also to the child to sleep on. And or one child is with the father, and father is sort of taking care of all the things, and mother is helping the child to sleep. So that kind of a simple interaction can be done with this play product. um, yeah. Then this again, I liked this course, which was on material exploration, but with soft materials. So we took one thing from nature, and I liked this wild weed which was growing all around the campus. And I just took it and I thought, what can be done with it? So the characteristic felt like, it looked like a palm because it had like five fingers, sort of thing. And it had some um, sort of spikiness. So I thought maybe Velcro sort of uh, can also have certain characteristics. And then I thought with palm and Velcro, what can be done? So there were lots of ideas, how like just to stick and then to take it away, and some interaction of catching or other kind of concepts. And then I came up with this idea that maybe there are both these hands and two people are wearing it, and there are Velcro points, and both the pockets on both the hands, on both the gloves, basically have some letters. So it became like a travel scrabble, so where each person takes certain letters and makes words, and then after these are made, then whoever has the least amount of letters left in the pocket wins the game. And you can put it together, you can sort of roll it, you can just put it in your bag and take it as traveling game. And that time, this was like some 10, more than 10, 13 years back, I think. 12, 13 years back. And that time, I think that the mobile phones were not really very popular. I mean, no, none of us had a smartphone at all. So children also used to really play with most of these games which were tactile in nature, and that time they were not really used to mobile phones that much. So this was quite an interesting exploration, and I think still when people would come to the studio, I had a small studio in New Delhi for a few years, and they would really be excited to see this game and spend some time to wear and sort of play at least a game of two or two. And the letters were all embroidered, so it was quite interesting that you also get a texture from it, and one can also know what kind of letter is formed how. So there were multiple possibilities of playing a game and learning from it. And during that time also, there was this institutional training, which was a part of toy and game design course. And this was a 1 week experience. So I had come to Delhi that time, and because it was a Diwali break, and I went to Mirambika School, Mirambika International School, where they had a curriculum which was based on learning and freedom and experience through a child's eyes. So I spent some time with the Orange group, which was 8-year-olds, and they were very, very bright and very excited children who used to have a lot of hands-on activity. So I showed them a book that binding that I had. So they were very excited. They wanted to learn it. So what we did was that we took a lot of A4 sheets and cut them into half and then folded it. And then just with simple thread, we started sort of rotating it. And those people who didn't want to really use a thread, we would use a rubber band and just put the rubber band, and that was bound. And then on the top we put a color sheet like this, and then each child needed to cut any sort of a form, any cutout, whatever they like. So here one of these girls, she made a sun and a bird, and when she stuck the orange and the blue on the other side, she did not really cut it in the same form. So this is sun and bird, but on the other side, it was actually a tree form and a mango form. And with this simple idea, children were so excited that from one paper, they were able to get two kind of stories, two kind of ideas. So this was quite. I mean, one could see that how much children want to explore simple ideas and tell their own stories, tell their own thoughts. Um, so that was good. And another one we had was a character design course, where one of the outcomes one had to do was a book, any booklet to capture the story. So I thought instead of doing a conventional book which opens like this, it's better to do something else. So then I made a base, and I took nuts and bolts and made this like a rotating storybook. So when that happened, what could happen was, the idea was that one could put this on a table, and there could be many children who could read the book together. So a group of friends or parent and child together. So 2-3 sets of parents and children together. And so this book became interesting activity. So it's not like when you have a book, you just sort of, it stays with you, but it also becomes a sharing process. And with that, you can also take out the nut and bolt and put another storybook when the first one is done. So again, this sort of led to a very interesting sort of interaction between children and sometimes their parents. So my final project was called Khel Manthan, which means churning learning through play. And this was with an organization. I'll talk about the project in the other slides, but of course, my convocation was done in 2012. And of course, like that time, it was an on-campus convocation, and Mr. Anand Mahindra sort of had gave us our degrees and saw our projects, and it was quite nice because this seemed to have some potential to be kept in Mom and Me. Later on, of course, I didn't follow up and take it up ahead because I was more interested to develop it as a batch production and to have hand skills and take this forward in a way that, I mean, that people who are making it get a profit and it doesn't really stay only with me. Um, so after that, in 2013, post the convocation, I was selected as a participant in Germany in the UNESCO International Toy Design and Inclusive Play Workshop. And this was a very interesting pattern of 2 weeks where all the participants, they go to any center, which is a center for special needs. It could be children, it could be adults, it could be senior citizens. And then based on that, each one has one mentor. So there are four mentors in the whole group and 20 participants. And then we work to develop a design, and then eventually the outcome is an exhibition, a public exhibition. So this was in a town hall in Nuremberg. And then it's open to everyone, whether it's a user group, an organization which is coming, or a company which wants to develop the toy or game further. So there was both this connection of user, design, and production. So I think this was a quite exciting idea. I mean, it felt like all those years of being into toy and game design, being into space and architecture, one could finally use it in a very practical way in a world and actually see it getting produced. So when 2019, again, there was another workshop where I was invited as a mentor. And this time it was a little different, because earlier it used to be only designers who used to be there. But in 2019, we had designers and we had educators, or we had people who were social scientists working with organizations. So this led to a good mix, because then we started grouping a designer and a social scientist or an educator together. And that led to many exciting ideas. And that also, of course, culminated into an exhibition in Berlin. And then we had a round with all the mentors and the organizations which were interested in these projects. We had a round of discussion later on which ones can be taken up ahead and how to produce it, what is the feasibility. So both ways, it was an exciting idea to be with. In India also, I started connecting with people, and this was one organization, Atulya Kala, and who worked with empowering deaf citizens. And this workshop I had conducted was to design toys for communication, and the mode of language was sign language and toy design. And so we made some simple paper toys, and it was exciting because everyone, I mean, I didn't know, not know basics of sign language that time, but everyone was able to communicate well and everyone was able to make a toy. And not even once did I feel the restriction of not being able to communicate. There was a lot of laughter, there was a lot of joking, and I could not understand a lot of it, but all the other 30 participants could understand each other. And thankfully, toy came to my rescue. So that became a very important mode of communication. So one part of my work is also to study and understand indigenous toys. I learn how to make them. A lot of simple material is used. I learn their material, their properties, and then I teach them to a group of children, educators, teachers, professionals, so different variety of groups. And I simplify them so that it's easy to make, at least to understand the mechanism and the process, and then to really value the intricacy of these toys, to really value each of the artisan who has put a lot of effort and mind in it, and to go back and maybe buy some of these toys, and then to also say that though we can make them in our own material, but this is a special skill which the toy designer or toy artisan has. But basic, of course, only making a toy was not enough. So then I introduced the element of a story, where a famous author has said that humans think in stories rather than facts, numbers, or equations. And the simpler the story is, the better. So this is some simplified version of a string pulled puppet, and artisans could make it in any form, and they could figure out the link mechanism and always could sort of make it work. But when one had to make it, I had to really figure out what is the point, how will it topple, how it will come back. And so then I introduced it to children, and then they started making many more stories with these. So, for example, they said that my Superman will fight with your Iron Man. And then another little small video I could show you. Oh, sorry, I think I'm not able to locate the video. I'll just Uh, okay, I think I really lost it, but wait, I'll just go to, yeah. So this was something done in Colombia, Bogota, with teachers from Sabana University, some exploration with children. So they made a lot of variety of ideas. Teachers training in Delhi University, some explorations at my studio, again a group of children, and a lot of teachers who were making and playing together. And when they were explaining, they used to explain it together because they felt that what, I mean, we don't want to just tell our story, but we want to share our stories. So this is how it sort of they interacted. I mean, other children, they would really like to have their own stories, but yeah, I mean, adults would really like to make stories together. And then with the architecture and design school students, when this was done, it was done as an installation. And so they explored, they started making this was with the School of Planning and Architecture in Delhi. And so we started looking at the toy which is existing, the background, the history, and everything, and of course the mechanism. And then, of course, after this, we scaled it up to make it as an installation. And then, after paper and sunboard, the group shifted to MDF and wood. And then eventually, sort of gave it a form, which was a form of a Hulk. So they said that we want the Hulk to take a selfie. So then they made a Hulkfee, and the pedal mechanism was used instead of pulling with hand. So basically, the player became the puppet in this case, and they installed it in the festival, their annual festival, and it was quite exciting to see that how a toy became an installation and yet made a lot of sense. So this idea of a toy and tail, which led to the concept of one to many or ek se anek, was really exciting, and I took it forward. And of course, through workshops, it was getting done. But then I also joined Sushant School of Design. I used to head the product design department there. And one part of my work was also to teach master students of interior design. So I developed, introduced a lot of playful process, I both with product design and with interior design students. So this was one in design synthesis course, where the idea was to introduce something playful in a space. So you have to study a space, and then you have to take a game and understand how does it help the space become more playful. So this group took a very simple game which everyone knows, which is nuts and crosses. And then after some exploration, they made it into a coffee table. So I think I'll just take you through that video also. So first they made some paper models. They failed for a lot of models, but then this was something that they did. Sorry, I'm not able to see the messages here. I mean,
It's okay. We can
yeah.
take the messages
And
after your presentation.
okay, okay, thanks, Sudha. Yeah. So basically, we felt that if you're installing that, it has to be something which does not get picked up or is there, I mean, for a longer time. So a mechanism where, the same mechanism that you have in a barbecue, that same thing, we started using with the rod, and we started these pieces which would rotate. And people would just go on this lawn for a cup of tea or just in between their classes and play a quick game, and then go back and play another game when they wanted to. So this was another exploration. And of course, then after I joined NID, in just some 7-8 months, the pandemic hit. And I felt that now the process of workshops will stop, because how will one do this? Generally, I would go be with the participants in a physical mode. It was very exciting, interactive. But then this year it was good because there was a conference in IIT Bombay through IDC, designing for children. And there I had presented a paper, and with that, they asked me if I could conduct a workshop. And when we took it online, this workshop again was exciting, because what was happening was that at home, people could get their own simple material, they could explore. And if there were children nearby, they would join it. If there were adults nearby, they would just be very curious and peep and see what is happening, what is their child doing. So I think this workshop actually brought community feeling in online mode. And I mean, that was thankfully a good experience, because I felt that there's no restriction in the mode. When you have a good idea, when you have a way of, communication, it can happen in any mode. So why to restrict oneself? So this now I've been able to do both online sessions and offline. And so when I was doing my final project for Khel Manthan, I was looking at one of the indigenous toys, and understood the mechanism. And then for an initial testing, I did a workshop with Care India teachers, where I was invited to conduct a session. And they made it into a lot of stories. So teacher running towards school, or train running towards tunnel. So instead of just having one character, we were able to explore many characters together. So the idea of multiple storytelling came into picture. And so that led to Khel Manthan, that is churning learning. So I developed it into a handcrafted storyteller or story maker. And this project was done with an organization called SIRDI, which is in Madhya Pradesh. And this was under MSME project, in collaboration with NID Ahmedabad. So the outcome was a lot of handcrafted characters, and you would have this bag where the characters could go in, and children and adults could play together, and they could interchange the characters. So when one child was playing, suppose in a school this is hanging, when the other children were not playing, they were not really getting bored, but they were doing something else. So for example, they would just say a poem. For example, they would say, like, this was one poem they had learnt in their class, and they started saying, reciting it when their classmate was playing. So this was like, एक चिड़िया के बच्चे दो, घर से निकले पंख पसार, पूरब से पश्चिम को जाए, उत्तर से दक्षिण को आए, घूम घूम के घर को आए, मम्मी को एक बात बताए, देख लिया हमने जग सारा, अपना घर है सबसे प्यारा. So these were like really simple but very catchy poems that got connected with the toy in a very, very natural situation. And yeah, so small animation that we could see. So where there's this bag, and it has a lot of characters coming from both the front and the back pockets. And then when you hang it, you take your own story, and then octopus eats a fish, or fish eats an octopus. It's all up to you. And yeah, so small batch production basically was done for this, and we started taking orders from schools, and developing it both in Delhi and in Madhya Pradesh. So some of the insights which I had was that a lot of adult interaction in nuclear families were happening through many of these sessions, even though it was in pandemic times. There's a lot of inquisitiveness in adults, which when you open up, you start having certain play interactions, it gets addressed. And when that is addressed, it automatically gets transferred into their own teaching to the next generation, their own interaction basically. And this also acted, such a process also acted as a stress buster for adults. And somewhere I thought that the community feeling through play is becoming stronger. And whether it was workshop from home, or from another physical mode, I think from home, when the parent was participating, the children would just join in. And when the child or the student would be making, the adults would join. So this was learning was happening in all sort of spaces with all age groups. And I think the element of a toy or game is being indigenous is very, very important, and it's important to preserve. But yet, what is more exciting is to enjoy the experience of playing, and to preserve the idea and the mechanism while playing, while making. So Carl Jung has mentioned that the creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct. And I myself believe that each individual has the right to explore and to know one's own play potential. So, with that, this has been a glimpse of my toy and learning journey. Thanks a lot, Polygonal NID, GN, and Vasudha. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sudhi. This was so insightful. And I remember going through your work when I was a student at NID and looking at Khel Manthan. And today, just to know the idea, the concept behind it is just so nice. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been really nice to know how you navigated from architecture to play design and now what your practice combines of. So we have some questions. I think Sunata has a question. Sonata, would you like to turn on your mic and camera and ask Survi the question, or would you want me to read it for you?
Yeah, I'll ask it. Let's not do the camera because I'm not really presentable at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's okay. You can ask the question.
Yeah. So, Surbi, first of all, thank you for sharing all your diverse experiences with us. It was actually very enlightening. And it also invited a lot of questions in my head, primarily surrounding. So, I noticed that you have like a lot of documentation of even all the work that you did early at NID and even before that. So, it seems like that has been a very consistent feature with you. Now, that is something that I have realized very late that documentation is very important. So, I want to know like how much time and let's say what kind of uh, like for example, if you have a frequency of let's say every weekend I update whatever I have done, so something like that I want to know how much time do you spend documenting or reappropriating your work, let's say sending it to a workshop or competition, and then how do the teaching and workshop taking opportunities come along, and like if you tell me that if you are approached from somebody else's side, then if I'm not at that position, then what can I do to get those opportunities? So two questions.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sonata. I mean, these are really good and very, I mean, interesting questions, and I'm glad it came to your mind. First of all, I think when you really like your work, you document it because you want to not only document it for the sake of sending out to competitions or getting something out of it, but honestly you want to show it to people who are your friends and who just you just want to share. Like when I used to work, I used to first thing I used to do was to show to my classmates at NID because I wanted to get some feedback from them, both good or bad. And second, I used to show it to my sister because she, of course, was in finance. So I wanted to get that kind of input that, no, ये तो बहुत ही बेकार बनाया, ये बहुत अच्छा बनाया, इससे कौन खेलेगा, that kind of thing. So to get
Hmm.
that, I had to have something, some photograph, some video, or I would just sort of show it and ask her to play with it. कि देखो अब ये बताओ. So I think a lot of things when you value your own work, your own creation, when you're so excited about it, I think it's an automatic process. So I guess that first thing I think that happens. Second, of course, for example, when I had to send my portfolio for the Germany this thing exchange program, I had to present for the interview, or for the this thing for the participation in the UNESCO workshop. For the selection process I had that time, when these opportunities came, I automatically sat and started documenting my work. And when I think NIT has a good culture, I think most of our courses, whether I think more in masters, because I remember my journey from masters, I think after each course we were asked to submit a documentation. So what happened was that you start writing about your work. So of course, even though you have done something where you have a concept and that thought process is important, when you start writing about it and explaining it to your own faculty members or submitting it, I think that time it looks very, it is little annoying, and it's like, who will spend, 3 more hours? It's so irritating. Just give us the marks. We don't care about it. Just grade us. But I think that brought that even after so many years, you can feel the connect, and you can actually also connect it with your current work. So that work never goes away. What you have done in your childhood, what you have done in your being a student in college or masters, it all is an experience that is only getting built upon. And that is a value maybe at that time we are not valuing, but now we are. I mean, and I think it will stay for the whole life, whether it's good or bad. So that's the first thing, that no need to force yourself to document. First is when opportunity comes, you sit and document all your work. And second, when you really want some people to understand what you're doing, so just when you show it to them, it's there. So I think that's there. And I used Facebook a lot, to be honest, because that time 2009 and 10 Facebook suddenly bloomed, and it was very exciting, to be on the social media. So one thing was to put some quotes and this and that, and that I felt, "Theek hai yaar, kitna, how much will I put?" But second, I started putting these work experiences. So that also connected me to a lot of people. So one doesn't, I mean, okay, it's good to be connected to the right people and all, but I think with these platforms of Instagram, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, I think now the world is so big, and yet you can get connected, in a very in a very focused way. So that I think also helped me. And second, how do I keep track of upcoming opportunities? So, Sonata, I think there are so many opportunities in the world. So, I think again, to be honest, it's either through WhatsApp group or through word of mouth, or something I've heard somewhere. I just Google, okay, this conference is coming, so if I'm interested, I'll just put it out. So that happens. Thankfully, because I was in Delhi, like for example, I used to be work. I used to sometimes have session with this group called Creativity Adda. So they had a concept where they said कि government school है, उसमें we want to introduce something which is after school session for this set of boys. It was a boys school. We want them to explore, and these are all from nearby slum areas, right? So उसमें they said कि क्या कर सकते हो, हम इनको skating सिखाते हैं, हम dance सिखाते हैं, what will you teach? So I said ठीक है, मुझे तो toy आता है, so I will teach that. That's what I'll do. So I used to go there, I would learn to skate, I would teach them, workshops करती थी, and it was good. It was like co-learning, and every year or every 6 months I used to go, because they were also interested, I was interested. And then they would also then connect me to many more organizations, because they felt that this was a good association. Schools may be same hua. Once you do a session, if they liked, they would call maybe for teachers sessions. If they called, then they would call for children's sessions. So ऐसे build upon hota gaya. But obviously I also felt that on one hand, these opportunities come as and when they do. I mean, one cannot really only rely on them. So that's why it was important for me to be associated with one organization. That's why full-time job is something I've always kept with me. Because 3 years I did freelancing and everything. I explored. I did a lot of workshops on invitation and everything. But then I thought that if I wait for opportunities, then also emotionally will feel that, if the opportunity doesn't come, I'll start rethinking what am I doing. Whether I will start devaluing myself. And these are very important things. One thing we make, one sketch we do, one product, one outcome we do, one model we make. These are our own experience, our own sort of expression. So why do we devalue it? So that is how I said that, okay, with a full-time opportunity, let me explore in a way so that I am also happy. I'm able to give something to the job, but I'm able to give something to the world wherever it is possible.
Yeah.
So
So how is it working out with the full-time job and all the other things that you do? Good.
okay,
Good
so
balance.
balance is, I think, always needs to be created, I think. So in my experience, whether I was freelancing or whether I was when I was a student, or whether I was in a full-time opportunity, I think there is always this pull, you're always thinking that, have I taken the right decision or not?
Hmm.
Am I using my whole potential or not? So I think slowly, each day passes by, when you see that it's not one day you do work and then you're happy the rest of the year. No, it's a struggle. Every day you do something, and maybe after a month or two you realize, अच्छा ये किया था ना, ये journey अब अच्छी रही है. So I think that balance continuously I'm creating. Like everyone is creating. So I think we all go through our highs and lows in our, एक जगह opportunity अच्छी मिलती है, second way space you're also rejected. That also feeling is there. So I guess I think like design is a process, life is a process, and I think you deal with it. So happily as and when possible, yeah.
Thank you, Survi.
I
That
have
for some bits, yeah. Yeah, please, Vasudha.
yeah, I have a follow-up question on what you were just discussing with Sonata. So when you were talking about this organization that you got in touch with, where you were teaching students and everything, how did you pitch yourself? How did you reach out to them? And that process, I think, will be really helpful for some of us to understand.
Yeah. Actually, this was by chance, to be honest. So I had gone for a session. Like I had gone to attend a session in Palampur. So there's a organization called Sambhavna. It's an institute of politics and policies, and this is a very beautiful space near Palampur, and nice river and mud houses and mud dormitories and all. So there was an 8 day workshop called Jeevan Vidya. So Jeevan Vidya में क्या किया वो कितना सीखा पता नहीं, but with the whole atmosphere and meeting people, I learned quite a bit. And there, some people were connected to this organization. So they said that if you're living in Delhi, why don't you connect with them? And that is how the initial bit started. And so when I came back, I went and met them, and then I mean the whole interaction session started. Even with with this group of Atulya Kala. So again, this creativity at group, they had one day open sort of a house. So they took a space in the school itself, and they opened it to everyone to play games, to cook together. It was like a community sort of experience. And there I met some more people. It was just purely conversation. And when you're conversing, I think it's natural. I think when you're conversing, you're pitching, you don't know it. You're not really desperate to connect. You're just in the flow, and you just explore. Like because if things work out, great. If things do not work out, you at least go back with 3 more friends. So that was the idea. So yeah, but pitching to schools was critical. It was more difficult because with schools it used to be like if I would write to them, they would never respond. I mean, it was because they have already their activities. They are so set. They already know that they are doing something interesting. So with schools, it was more like if I met them in these spaces, one could talk. So informal spaces helped me get into formal spaces. That's how it helped. Yeah. So yeah, and then beach mein I had one workshop was with CEE. So that time I had done a small session, but this was more like how to. This was a competition on film. So I had told the students in the journey of how you can make a very basic film to sort of to tell your idea to the other person. And that was in another school in Sardar Patel Vidyalaya. So there, the teachers and the principal, when they came, they said that you're doing this, and what else do you do? So can you do this 3 day workshop for us? So sometimes this. So I think it was. When I really tried hard, to be honest, it did not work. When I was really going into flow and exploring and taking any opportunity that was coming my way, that helped. And obviously, like I said, इतने rejections भी थे ना, कभी कभी लगता था why am I doing this, but then then you enjoy. Honestly, I mean, of course, I've always done work which is mainly paid. Sometimes it's voluntary, especially with some this thing, orphanages and all. When there was work, it was more voluntary. But apart from that, schools and all used to be always paid work. But the idea was not that my main idea was not always to earn. Of course, that was a remuneration was a part. But more idea was, agar nahi hua, to still will I do this thing? And the answer was always yes. Agar answer nahi hota, I would have left it long time ago. So, yeah.
That's really inspiring. I think resilience comes with a lot of experiences, and the journey is to just keep going at it. I think we're all learning. We're all in a phase to be learning that. And it's so inspiring to see you discussing that. If anybody else would have any question, please feel free to ask Surbi.
I have one. Survi, I wanted to ask that when we think of toys, we often think of children. So, do you have any experience to share with us um, in which how the elders look at toys and how do they interact with the toys since they have lost touch with that uh, in their life? So,
Again, I think such nice questions, I think. um, so I yes, I think when the course was there, the toy and game design course was there, I think from that time it was always a combination of children and adults and special needs. But my experience when I went to Germany for this workshop, the creativity workshop, that was actually a new experience because the group that I was in, it was with senior citizens who were suffering from Alzheimer's. So they had forgotten. They had so their short-term memory was really bad. The long-term memory of the war that they were in, or their own losing their own family members. That time, their memory was stuck in that time. So we went to a lot of old age homes and interacted. And see, like all people here in India, the Germans were also, I mean, similar. I mean, they were not living with children because children were too busy with their jobs, and they had to put them in this center, which was very good center, honestly. All care and nursing and this that. And वो लोग एक room में जाके they would sit every day in a big hall, and then the caregivers, they would bring like any kind of toys, like ball le aayenge, so passing the parcel would happen and all that. And the people would be on either wheelchair or with a stick, or mobility was fine in some, right? But they were not excited, you know. Kitne games the वहाँ पे, memory games भी थे, there were ludo, there were snakes and ladder, everything was there. But somehow it was like they were just living their life. So I thought, "Ye kya karenge?" I mean, like, even to have user interaction, how do I interact? I didn't know that much German, except that I want coffee or something. Matlab, that was the only interaction I know of. Kya bole? So then we sat with four people. Me and another one friend was from Turkey, so we both sat at one place. So we said, "अच्छा क्या करते हैं?" So I had a puppet that time, because I used to carry some of these toys. So I took out that puppet, you palm leaf का puppet रहता है, which is like a jigging puppet sort of a thing. यहाँ पे भी होगा, I think. I always हाँ, that one, ये वाला, this kind of puppet है ना. तो ये था, and ये tiger के form में था. So I just took it out and I said, "See, look." And they just saw it and they were like, "Okay." Then again disinterested. Okay. Then I was like, "Okay, see, this is what is done." My God, those 2, 3 people who were there, who were actually in general just looking, their gaze was, in some direction, not interested. Suddenly, "Oh my God, what is this? Ah, you're from India. Okay, you have tigers in India." Oh, such a conversation started. And then they wanted to play. They were like, "Oh, shoon, that is very good, that kind of thing." And then sort of I understood that actually everyone has a memory of play, to be honest. We all have experiences. We just want to get really excited. And if you give very structured play and say, "Memory lao, do this," nobody will do it. You have to give freedom. I mean, every age group needs freedom, yeah. I think that's the one. Second was I was doing this workshop at Jamia Millia. So this workshop I had got because NCRT make exhibition tha, and I had presented my work, Khel Manthan and other outcomes. So they had given their deal was that we'll give you space, we'll not charge you for it, and that's it. ठीक है, तो exhibit किया था. So a lot of organizations came dealing with the special needs, dealing with the institutions. So Jamia Millia se somebody had come. So she said that, "I want you to come to my organization and लोग हैं, education department है, pedagogy करते हैं, कुछ सिखा दो, communication पे कुछ करते हैं." So I said, "ठीक है, toys for communication I was already doing." So I went and कुछ toys बताया कि मतलब I told about myself and ये. So they are all ऐसे sitting कि भाई हमें तो पता है, तुम पता नहीं क्या लेके आई हो, you are so young. I was 26, 27 that time, 28 maximum है ना, and we are all like 40s में हैं. And we all have doctorates, so don't, I mean, we don't know like who has come. So I said, "ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं." So then I started with certain activities. I said, देखो ये खिलौना बनाना है, but इसको ऐसे नहीं बनाना है, इसको कुछ और करके बनाना है, you know. So they said, अच्छा. So first they came forward, then they are like, अच्छा, we make like this, okay. Then something else. Then they were like, कि नहीं, अकेले नहीं करना है, हम stuck हो रहे हैं, हम साथ में कर लें, like okay. Then they were like, पता है हम बचपन में ऐसा करते थे, आप तो ये लेके आए हो, पर हमारे जमाने में ये. So the whole conversation started. So when I thought I was going as an expert and they were coming as an expert, there was a wall. But when I was going as somebody who has something else to give and something else to take, वो पूरी वॉल ब्रेक हो गई. उनका भी एक्सपीरियंस इंपॉर्टेंट था, मेरा भी एक्सपीरियंस इंपॉर्टेंट था. So I think that brought a lot of learning, and age didn't matter. Honestly, age didn't matter, your background didn't matter. Just playing together mattered, making together mattered. So yeah. So
So, toys do trigger that childish emotions in us.
yeah,
Do we
they
have?
do.
Okay. Yes, you were saying.
No, sorry. I mean, please continue.
Do we have any more questions? I guess no.
I
Acha,
had
one
one
more thing.
more question.
Okay, okay, cool. Go ahead, Vasu.
I think Sarita also has it. Okay, she's just saying thank
Thank
you.
you, Sunita.
Yeah, I uh, I think this is something which I found myself doing. So when I was studying through NID, I also have a similar journey. I did architecture, and when I did toy and game design, I was constantly trying to understand how does my learnings from architecture fit into toy and game design, and what is my definition of play, and how do I align all of this. And when you were sharing your journey, I was able to get a sense of how you translated your one experience into another. I think I am still learning how to do that. So, was it organic, or were you constantly looking at the patterns of your work and trying to understand and take opportunities in similar manner? One question is that. And second, I think I just want to understand from you, what were you able to derive as the definition of play for yourself? Because I found myself doing that, constantly trying to understand that what exactly is play. Every time I went to our teachers at an ID, I remember asking Khanaji what is play. I remember asking Austin what is play, and it was so personal to everybody, and it felt like it was a part of their personality what they were describing as play. So, what were you able to define it as that? So, I think I asked two questions there. Yeah.
I'll try to answer them. So first one, I think, of course, when we have put in so much effort and time into studying, into going through a path, whether it's architecture, design, I mean, it's a very conscious decision, right? We didn't choose any other thing. Like I was clear, I don't want to do engineering, I don't want to do medicine, and I want to do something which gives me freedom to explore. And yet it's enough. It also culminates into formal and informal sectors both. That clarity was there. But so obviously when you put in so much of effort, one doesn't only wait for things to be organic. One of course respects the go with the flow scenario, but one constantly you are saying, who am I as a designer, who am I as a play practitioner? That question is already always there. It's there today, it will be there, I think, even when I'm 60 years old, 70 years old, all the time. I hope I'm alive till then. But yeah, so it is going to be there forever. And with changing scenario, changing world, I think we are going to all rethink our position, right? So I guess what happened was that situations, whenever they were organic situations, I just took them. That was the only thing. I did not reject anything because I was like thankful that something is coming my way. Maybe it has a reason. So I just kept on taking it. But that said, it wasn't like I made a choice. Like sometimes when, I mean, we had a project from, I think, one of the organizations abroad. I've really forgotten it. And also this one, the Kinder Joy, this thing. And there was a very small window of applying for it and taking it forward and all. And I thought that, is it important for me to do this or not? And that time I said, no, I don't want to do this. for me, that time I was getting some workshops and I was doing my own studio work, and I wanted to establish my own work rather than getting in touch with the company and then giving away my designs and then, getting some money but not any sort of uh, recognition for it. So that was again a conscious decision. So I guess though we are going with the flow, though we are doing organic, but we are also very sensible about it. We are choosing whatever organic we want to take and whatever we don't want to take, right? It's never a random decision. Each decision in our life is very thoughtful. But that said, there are also going to be points later on when I also regret certain decisions, when I also think, my God, at that time, had I done that, I would have, got certain other opportunity. But eventually, I think when you have taken a certain decision, and there are some good and bad points, I think mostly I try to look at the good points, and it's fine. It's been a good journey till now, and though there are regrets, then I write it down and say, okay, these are my regrets. Can I do anything about it now? If I can, I will. If I can't, okay, now let's go to the next one. So this is the first thing. About play as a definition, I think आर्किटेक्चर में पहले दिन ना हमने पूछा था कि डिजाइन क्या होता है, व्हाट इज डिजाइन ना. एंड आई थिंक वसुधा, आई होप यू एग्री विद मी कि आज तक हम डिफाइन नहीं कर पाए हैं कि डिजाइन के इतने डेफिनेशंस हैं. बट आई गेस similarly, play is such a huge concept, and actually it's such a simple concept. It's an experience, it's a noun, it's everything. But obviously when we define it, it continuously keeps on changing. So for me, the idea of play is to explore one's potential, because we can give it a lot of definitions, and I think all of them will be right. If you can connect with it, the definition will be right, otherwise not. So for me, play potential and our own play memory, these are two things which are extremely important for experiencing play. So that's my bit. But yeah, I think again it goes to a personal connection with the journey. It cannot be taken as a general sort of play definition of, say, 2021 or something. I guess for that, even if a play researcher does it, even if you see Brian Sutton Smith's work and you can connect in that era, after some time you might not be able to connect with it. So yeah, so that's I have just tried to answer your question, but I don't know how successful I was. Yeah.
Yeah, makes so much sense. I think there cannot be just one definition of play. Yeah. I think
Okay.
Nalini had one more
Yeah.
question to ask.
Actually, I have two. So this question is my favorite, and I ask everyone for like this question. So after getting out of NID, what was your favorite memory of that campus since it has been too long? And the second question is, from being a student to now being a teacher, faculty, what has been the difference in the journey, in the path?
So favorite was NID Gandhinagar ka Khopcha. That was my favorite space. So, so we used to go there. I think for the night की free की चाय जो होती थी वो, and evening की जो Maggie and something else, before Madan Bhai's dinner. So I think that was a very, very strong experience I had. I don't know, now things have changed because I've learned that the campus has grown and it's become more beautiful. So, but I just have memory of that Khopcha. And then there was this small tila, like it was a small hill bhi nahi tha, it was mainly lawn, but thoda sa usme bump tha, so we used to call it tila. So tile pe baiठते हैं, chalo. So in between of like evening may after dinner or something, before working on any submission, we would just go and sit there, interact. Somebody would be playing guitar and we will just laugh and something, and then of course back to the studios. Or so ये टीला और खोचा बहुत interesting memory है. So, but also Garba. I think I miss Garba so much after coming to Delhi. मतलब so हम लोग गांधीनगर से बस में जाकर 8 o'clock की बस होती थी, so 6 o'clock या 8 o'clock की, and we used to go there, have dinner, and then रात को पूरा गरबा करके, then 1 o'clock we used to leave, फिर ढाबे में रुकेंगे, फिर वापस आएंगे, that whole, because that time Gandhinagar didn't have its own गरबा, so अहमदाबाद ही जाना पड़ता था. So that whole experience was this thing. And I just few days back I was remembering कि अभी नवरात्रि वापस आ गई है, and see it's been so many years, and I hope this whole experience comes back. The second question, ki difference at NID being a teaching faculty and a student. So, um, of course, I mean, there I was there for masters, so that was the first thing. Here I am teaching undergrad students, and यहाँ पे it's industrial design. So it's basically it's a product in everything. So industrial design के umbrella में ही we teach courses which are related to say toy and game design, या furniture, everything together, which are also available as electives. So mainly they go through this process of product design, and they learn all the skill based courses and research methods and wood mein kaam karna and your drafting and everything, CAD and this that. But what I enjoy here, I mean, is that first it's a new campus. It's though we have the past from NID, but we are in a new location. We have our own autonomous decision making sort of scenario here. So वो कर सकते हैं. So these are 4 years where you can absolutely interact with foundation if you like, जहाँ पे geometric construction, design process की बात करो, या फिर you have the final years which have systems thinking. So there's a huge range which is there. And I think that, I mean, so one thing we always face is कि NIT में ये होता है और यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है. So that constant questioning we keep on doing, like, so I mean, though we have the parent as NID, but I think the institute has its own sort of connect to maybe Delhi being near it, or being in Haryana, which has its own culture. So I think वो धीरे धीरे develop हो रहा है. So I guess had I been in NID Ahmedabad, I would have had some comparison. But here, entirely it was like being in a new institute altogether. And of course, module teaching is there, so that is common. So module, I mean, we are all following the same thing. But the idea is कि undergrad के साथ one is you can do many more explorations because they have more years. First of all, they have a lot of courses. They don't have the stress of just going out and just proving themselves and working. I mean, they do have that stress, but in masters I think it's much more because you've done two studies, so now you have to just really prove yourself. Or and masters is of course specialized. So just a toy design में था, everything I was doing had to be related to play or toy or game design. यहाँ पे नहीं है. यहाँ पे one has the sort of freedom to explore. So जैसे सुशांत स्कूल ऑफ डिजाइन में भी one could quickly bring in the digital prototyping. One could quickly say कि आप sensors से इस बार काम करना है और nature and form and sensors को साथ में मिला के let's do some exploration. It may be playful, it may not be playful. So वो restriction थोड़ा नहीं था. So that was, I mean, you could do furniture, you could do play, you could do any other thing. You could just do a technology based outcome. So ये थोड़ा सा difference है. And yeah, I think 18 to 22-year-old is a very difficult group, yeah, to interact with. I think one is between teenager and adulthood. So masters were, I guess, so we were sort of we were more, I don't know, responsible as I don't know, people as students. We were a little more matured, so वो थोड़ा difference था. So yeah, but altogether it's enjoyable. The fact that when you are thinking of something, students are able to bring their, I mean, generation, because in 10 years the generation changes. So their own generation ka thoughts. You also start learning. So they say as an educator, you never sort of die, you're always learning. You never become stagnant. So it's been a good learning journey, and sometimes surprising also what's really happening in students' minds. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Surbi, for such a wonderful session and sharing so many things with us. It has been a compendium actually. So I think um, um, uh, thank you for coming to Polygonal and sharing us sharing with us with your journey as a student, as an educator, as a toy and game designer, and many insights from this particular discipline. And so Yes.
Thanks so much, Nalini. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this session also. And thanks a lot, Vasudha, for patiently, sort of being with me and interacting. And so nice that you guys made an effort to both have this platform. And also, I got to sort of learn about it. And great initiative. Really loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your journey with us today. Yeah, it was really nice to be interacting with you.
thank you,
Same.
audience. Sorry.
No, I
And
was just saying,
we
same
shall be
here.
updating. Uh, sorry.
I think there's a lag.
Yes. Also, the weather here is deteriorating.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us. I understand how difficult it is to get up at 11 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday. So thank you for your persistence and interest in this. And we hope we continue more sessions. And
Yes.
thank you, Surbi, for taking
Thank
out
you.
time to speak with us today.
Thanks a lot, guys. Hope
Yeah.
to interact more. And thanks a lot, everyone who was here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. Lovely. Bye.
Bye bye. Oh.